let's look at what you've got so far. So even if you haven't finished, all right, yep, they will finish. Good for you. Okay. What I'd like to do is go around one source at a time and just share what you put. So for source one, we'll go around and share what you put in source one. If it's different, so you don't need to repeat the same thing, just say, yeah, that's what we got, or no, we put this. So, excellent, looks like we have a spokes model for each. Okay, source one, here we go.
We are contributing to science.
Exactly, that feeling like I'm doing something important for science. Perfect, Michelle, thank you. Nick, what'd your team put?
We had power tripping.
That's hey, I like this. You know, I'm in control. Little scary. What else?
We had obedience.
How would that fall in this experiment? How does that play out? Yeah, and I think you guys are right on the money. What does that look like in this experiment?
Well, I told them they had to keep following the leader's advice there. He kept saying, go forward, keep going, and they were obedient to that.
It motivated them enough to flip the switches.
Right, so for some people, that will be a motivator. Having someone tell you what to do is motivating for some people. For others, we'd be like, don't tell me what, you know to tell me what to do. But for some people, that absolutely. Source one, Corey.
Wanting to help for a good cause.
Absolutely, it's a university, it's an experiment, and anything different.
For personal,
Yes,
we put weren't they getting paid?
they were.
Okay, so that would be monetary.
Okay, so here's where it gets a little tricky, because you're absolutely right, that is a source, that $50. What box does that go in? It does go into source 5.
Right.
Yeah, but I know there's overlap there for sure. Okay, would you, Charles, would you start us with source 2, personal ability?
We put so being in control of the switch, like the operator. Sometimes that can be a motivator.
And how do
You
they?
have the ability and the control.
How hard is it to switch a switch?
Easy.
Pretty easy. Yeah, absolutely. Source 2.
Being able to use the switch.
Okay, thank you, Nick.
We put the guy that was able, because he was able to lead with the money, so his ability to lead the experiment and keep the reward.
Isn't that interesting how they put that twist? Like,
Yeah.
well, you'll still get paid.
Yeah.
Why do you think most people still stayed though? Even if they said you'll get the $50, whether you. Pardon me?
They're being influenced by the leader of the experiment.
Do you think there's some people that say, well, I'm getting paid, I need to stick through it, finish it? Commitment. Yeah, for some people. And that could be a source 1 or a source 2. Okay, Michelle, what else for source 2?
The only thing we have different is the ability to follow the script.
Okay.
Because they had the question and answers there in front of them.
Great catch, right? They had that, they had the question and answers there, making it pretty easy to learn. Okay, would you share now, and that can overlap with source 4 a little bit, splitting hairs. Would you share source 3, social motivation?
We have the doctor providing the explanations of how safe it was, even though it was an electric shock.
The doctor. We'll talk about that in a second. Source 3, Nick, would you?
So we had the instructor giving the order to continue, as well as when they sat with their peer, and the peer would get them to go along.
So we're looking at this person as an instructor, maybe he's a doctor. What is he wearing? And what does that lab coat represent? Authority. Here's someone behind me telling me what to do. I better do it. Is he a doctor? I don't know. But he's important. What else for social motivation? 3.
The leader of the experiment or the partner that was with them was encouraging them to continue.
Okay, so 2 separate things. So one is the leader, and with the lab coat. But yeah, so say a little bit more about what happened when they sat next to someone.
The partner would continue to do it, so the other person would continue to do it as well.
Yes. And does anyone remember from the experiment how much it increased?
90%.
to 90%. If you're sitting next to someone who keeps switching, the chances are in that experiment 90% that you will keep going. Well, that person's going. I better keep going because they're. Yeah. Anything else on source 3?
Let's see. Oh, we put to conform or not to conform under ability.
Oh, so source 4.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Go ahead. Go to source 4. Source
Oh, sorry.
4.
So, okay. Yeah, because we just had working in groups.
Okay.
So conform or not to conform. So having the ability to choose whether to continue or not. That'd be the social, I guess.
Oh, I see. Like them giving them that ability. Right. Okay, they did give them that. Thank you. Corey, what else for source 4?
The leader of the experiment was encouraging by saying it wasn't, it doesn't cause them any harm, so it's okay.
It's okay. It doesn't cause harm, which we know now. Pain is still harmful, right?
Yeah.
Pain. Okay. What else for source 4?
Same, like the instructor never told him to stop. He just told him to keep going.
And what words was he using? Did anyone catch the?
You have to.
You have to. Yeah.
The experiment requires that you continue.
Good catch. Good memory. The experiment requires you. Really? They had told them earlier that they could leave any time.
Right.
The experiment requires you. What else for source 4?
The patient saying, help, I've had enough, it's done. We figured source 4 could go both ways, either to keep you going or to get you to stop.
Yes.
So
Good
the
point.
patient saying, that's it, I've had enough, I want to stop. So it was enough to get that guy to walk out.
Yes, him and some other people also, which we didn't see. Good catch. All right, source 5. Did anyone get anything other than the money? I'll just make this.
Legal concern?
Yeah, that's what we do.
Last woman had a little bit of a legal concern.
I would say, I didn't write it down, but I would say anonymity. I think people, when you don't see, it dehumanizes, it takes that human element out of it. You're more likely to not care as much.
Okay, and the teacher couldn't see the learner or the student because why? Separate room, so there's a wall. What source does that wall go under?
6.
Yeah, it's a structural ability. You're absolutely right. Having that detachment, I can't see the person I'm hurting, so I'm more willing to keep hurting them. Just that wall would be a important, yeah. But there's the detachment of, yeah. Thank you for that. What other source 6?
We had the teacher not being held accountable.
All right, so would that be a source 6?
Like when she found out that she couldn't be legally responsible
Okay,
for it, when receiving that information that she would not be legally
she
responsible.
can't be sued.
Yeah.
Okay, and you were starting to say, Carrie.
Well, yeah, I think that's where we put it under the motivation, but under structural, we agreed it was structural, but it was part of her motivation. That she felt she couldn't be held responsible, therefore she was motivated to continue.
So is a lawsuit a 5 or a 6? And I know I'm getting a little, I'm splitting hairs. Is it a 5 or a 6? Anything I can, it's more of a 5. Yeah, I can hurt your bank account. It's a 5. It's a strong 5. And it can also be, Kira, you were saying of social.
No, well, we put it under 5, under structural motivation, yeah.
Okay. What other source 6 other than the wall? What other source 6? I know I'd kind of jump, so let's go to you, Michelle.
We put the actual machine.
Yep.
The instance where that one electrician was making sure that the machine was in working order before he proceeded.
That's right. He tested all the switches. Okay. The machine itself is a source 6. The easy switches we've talked about, source 6. Anything else?
Yeah, we put that as being held in a university lab, so
Yeah.
given legitimacy.
Yeah, this wasn't just, in some tent on the side of the road in a parking lot. This was a legitimate facility, a legitimate building. What other structural, we talked about the detachment, we talked about the switches. Do you think that it being physically easy to do made a difference? Just sitting there, doing, 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 doing. What if he had to get up, the teacher had to get up every time and walk over and do this big crank to get that voltage going? Do you think that would have made a difference?
It might make them feel better, actually. So it's costing them a little bit more.
It might have
you know.
influenced him.
Maybe they would have felt less guilty.
There are so many things in play here that you guys identify, and thank you all. Thank you all. Even have a seat. There's so many things in play that are not obvious. You know, not just the money, but the lab coat and what he said, the experiment mandates that you keep going, the detachment, the sitting someone next to you, having that peer pressure. There was all these subtle things and not so subtle things that were in play that the experimenter, or excuse me, the person doing the playing along, or the volunteer, not aware of how they were being influenced. Do you remember what the electrician said early on? He said, I don't even know why I kept going. I can tell you why. Because of all of this. No, I don't think he felt good about it, but he did it. And it wasn't just, hey, go hurt someone. It was all these things coming into play. So the good news is, if we can influence people to do bad things, we can influence them to do good things, to do the right things, using these 6 sources. So, homework? Chapter 3, page 35 to 46. If you have time, I'll be honest, it's not totally mandatory, but if you have time, it's an interesting chapter. You can come in early tomorrow and glance through it too. So tomorrow we'll dig into each source a little bit more and then apply it to your world. So you all have a lovely evening. You can put those, you can keep them on the table. Don't take them home. Yeah, keep them here. Thank you, Stephen.
It's not a gift either?
It is not a part. Those are like $65 each charge.
That part of the package here, so.